Patients, so all one.
What she didn't say is she just wants to get the plan done. So you know, Nicole, you would just go, yeah, that's what you'd say. Let's go across the table. Luke, we'll go over to you. Guys, I'm going to mix it up a little bit.
Hi, I'm Luke Weiser. I'm on council. Also, I'm a resident. Actually, on council, I suppose. But I hope to get out in 90 minutes, figure out what this package means. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure, just to see progress.
See progress. Okay, good. That's an echo of what you said last time, right? All right. We'll go down here, Daniel.
So community, but speaking meetings to inside the meeting for sort of keep that progress going.
So I wonder, that is the perfect answer. Okay, like that is the perfect answer. Honors college, okay, over at IUP. If you wonder how he got it, not this is how he's asking for homework on the first day or in the second meeting. We'll go over here.
Hi, Nick Minotti. I'm representing, well, I guess a couple different hats. I'm representing Stewart Group Consulting to help with the comprehensive plan, but I'm also representing during my daytime job, SPC. So I'm representing the larger region, Indiana being a part of that, and also as a resident. And I guess what I'm hoping to get out of this meeting is just the next directive. I work with data and mapping, so the next thing to find out about the borough, the next thing to map. So what makes me excited.
Elements. See what comes in. See. Okay. Stuff here.
So making a connection. Yeah, so Stephen, and Stephen, I'll get this next. You, sir.
I'm Mark Butterbaugh. I grew up in the area. I did leave for about 30 years and I've been back for 8. I do live in the borough. I want to see progress in this town. I feel that it's stuck.
Stephen.
Unmute.
Josie. To the
Yes, Jeffrey Bowden. I live in Indiana Borough. I'm Mark's neighbor. I'm a realtor, and what I hope to leave with for this meeting is just the clear direction for all of us moving forward.
Okay, so
Bill Buttress, I'm on the planning commission, and of course, I'm a resident of Indiana Borough also. I've been here for about 40 or 50 years. What I'd like to gain from this meeting is just a feel for the direction in which the comprehensive plan is going.
in terms of itself,
Right.
we could do that. But we get last time. So say try it, Stephen. Can we try it here?
Yes, my name is Steve Markowitz. I'm with Planning Construction, representing IUP. I don't really know what I'm looking to gain. I think I'm here mostly to provide input on where IUP's involvement is with your plan.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Stephen.
Yep.
There's a little. Be here, see. Are you? He's still muted. We'll stay here.
Peter Bud.
Were you saying my name? I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't hear you very well.
Hello.
The Indiana Brain. I think he would. As what I think everybody involved with this comprehensive plans from last.
Here, Joseph. Go.
Welcome to Google Meet. Enter the meeting pin followed by the pound key. Thank you. You're joining a call with 4 other people. The call is being recorded.
You guys are on mute. Do you realize that?
Out. Okay, that's the point. Elmo is quick and easy. If that shouldn't have to do with your computer, Nick.
You sure?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good.
It should be on this other one.
Who about
Well,
that?
Be muted. Should not be correct.
We're good now.
Can I hear?
The next is e-manners, just the phones. We all know about that. Start and end on time. And then issue boards are important because that keeps us from getting sidelined with issues that are outside the scope of what we're talking about. All right. So when we grab an issue, I may say, hey, let's add that to our issue board. I'll ask your permission and then we'll throw it on the issue board. Anybody have any questions here? Again, you guys adopted these last time, just a reminder. All right. So here's our task. Those of you that asked the question about what are we doing, this will answer your question. So task 1 is project organization, which is putting together this group, getting a consultant on board, and developing a work plan. All of that stuff is what we've been working on behind the scenes, right? So we're already done that. That's the reason it's colored red. Task 1's behind us. Task 2 is the outreach and engagement plan. In your packet, the O&E plan is there. You've had a chance to review it. We didn't spend a lot of time on it. It's okay. What we did is when we did that plan, we tailored it to this community because I happen to live here and I know how people get information. And so it was easy for me to do. But I gave you a chance to review it. It's no formal adoption, but that'll become part of our plan. Now, that particular engagement plan will be how we're going at the community, meaning how are we gathering feedback? How are we asking questions? Who are we asking questions to? So you are welcome. If you go to something on there and you say, hey, I've missed that, Jeff, what about this? That's great. Okay, let me know. Community profile, I have this line in there because it's about halfway done. We still got some work to do. What I want to do is give you a snapshot of this community currently. What am I going to use for that? Census data is the main source, right? In 2020, we had a census. We didn't collect as much information as we have in the past census cycles because it changed a little bit, but we've still got good data. So let's look at that stuff. Let's see what it tells us. There are also some other sources that we'll be using, one of which we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. We'll be gathering a little bit of data on our own. But generally speaking, Jill and Jane Doe, Indiana, we want to be able to tell you who that is, okay? Vision and goals. We're already going to start working a little bit on that tonight. We've already started to do some community outreach. We've been asking people what their vision is. Trey's going to talk a little bit about some of the work he's done, but generally speaking, that's kind of where we are now, okay? So these two is where we are. Task 5, we're going to start this tonight. I'm going to be asking a question about what this plan needs to be focused on. That question is what's going to feed our specific planning. So what's neat about the comprehensive plan is that we can focus the comprehensive plan on what we want to focus it on. Bill brought up a good point in the last meeting. He said, well, wait a second. You're not talking a lot about transportation, but we need to talk about transportation. Of course, we'll talk about transportation, but there may be topics or ideas or things that we want to spend more time on than other things. And we have the flexibility to be able to do that. Some of the neatest plans that I'm seeing are the ones that are focused on what the community decides is important and then really digs in on those issues. I could give you some examples, but that's what I'm hoping we can get to. Plan development is the boring part. That's where we sort of pull up and put something together. What's neat about this planning effort, for those of you that don't know, is that the Planning Commission has spent a significant amount of time working on an updated draft. So they already have some of these key items. For instance, the land use chapter is pretty much developed. Right now, what we're doing is just tuning it up. One of the first things Nicole said is, please make our comprehensive plan fun, easy to read, and usable, right? So those are some of the things that we're working on across the entire document. Any questions about this? All right, let me show you what it looks like across time. So task 1, project organization, February through June. Outreach, engagement planning, July, you can see community profiles, kind of what we're working on now. Vision and goals, huge part of the plan, specific planning, and plan development. Those are those same 6 tasks as the previous slide. Where are you now? We're about right here, right? So we're going to try to, I'm afraid to say this, when I was building this graphic, I was hoping you weren't going to be here, Nicole, but I am, we're going to try to get this thing. I've even added a month in here because we were shooting for April. We're going to try to get,
not here.
I know he would be mad. So we're going to try to get this thing done in March, possibility it may run to April. But your work as a committee, if you look at let's see, I'll show you. It's a different slide. But your job here is you've got 8 meetings, okay? So in 8 meetings, you guys are going to be done, okay? If there's something that we need to reconvene, maybe look at a plan, or maybe the draft comes out and you guys say, hey, let's pull the group together. Let's address this, this, and this. There seems to be consensus or differences with that, and we can do that. Any questions so far? Okay. Here is how this thing's organized. When I talked about project organization, this is what I was talking about in large part. So how is a plan developed in a community, right? We're making a town for an entire municipality with Indiana Borough, right? So where do we start? Well, we start here with the public because they're the ones that we're planning for, right? We're a municipal public organization. We're developing a plan for this community, okay? Mayor and council, they oversee the development of the comprehensive plan. They're the ones that give us the money, give us the license to go out and do a plan for this municipality, okay? Here, we've got Community Development Committee. This is our steering committee, which is you guys, and the Planning Commission. You're guiding the development of the comprehensive plan update. Admin and staffing, that's Trey and Nicole and all the staff that are associated with you guys at the municipal level. And then me down here at the bottom, right? Hey, Jeff, go do this. Hey, I think this is good. How want we do this? But I'm way down here at the bottom. Any questions about this or how it's organized? Okay. All right. I want to hit on this, and this is a little bit out of sync, but it'll work. In your packet, I want you to look at this. This is the decision tool, okay? This works in terms of making decisions. What happens when you do majority rule? You leave people out, right? What about the people that didn't like the idea? They voted against it. You say, well, who cares? Who cares about them? Well, it's important now because what we're doing is developing a plan for a larger audience. It's important that we agree. Now, when I say agree, I don't mean fully agree. What I'm saying is I have concerns with the proposal that I agree to stay inside and let the project. It's okay to say it's not what I would do, but I'm not going to get in the way of it. Okay. So this is how we'll make decisions. So for instance, when I say, hey, let's get our decision tool out, this isn't going to happen very often, by the way. Most things are just going to be a lot of this, but we may get to a spot where we say, Bill wants to talk about X, somebody else wants to talk about Y in terms of in the plan, maybe, or something. We get to a spot, we may have to say, okay, guys, where are we with this? You know? So if you look at this, this is very easy to understand. If you raise your hand with 5 fingers, I really like this proposal. I don't know who proposed it, but that's awesome. Okay. I'm not picking on you, Bill. One, if I see some 1s and 2s out there, I do not agree. I feel like this is it. We need, but here's the only caveat. We would say, hey, at least throw another idea out there, right? Don't just disagree with it. At least give us a little something to chew on. What I think we should do is back up and do X. What I think we should do is ask so-and-so about that, such and such. Okay. In the middle, you can see these things. I have major reservations too. These 2 is where we stop, right? We stop. What do? We pack up all our crap and go home? No. What we do is revisit the issue until we can find agreement where we can get everybody to either 3 to 5. Okay? Anybody have a question about that? I want to have that as a tool in our back pocket in case we need it. All right? All right. So what the heck? What about meetings? I talked about 8 meetings. Here we are at meeting 2. This is what I want you to pay attention to on this side. Here we are at meeting 2. Here we are at meeting 3, which is the school district. Jared's going to host us over at the junior high. Okay, we're going to be in the LGI room. Raise your hand if you know where that room is. Those of you that have been doing this for a while, tell us about it, Jared. Where's that room?
You go in the main office doors, hang a right, and go down to the end of the hall.
Where's junior high? We all know where the junior high is? Okay, all right. All right.
What time? So the front doors will be open?
Good question, Paul. All right, so that's where we'll be. And by the way, guys, you'll get tons of emails because you're part of this thing. You'll get tons of emails. But that's where we're going to be next week. Meeting 4. That's at IUP. Wait a minute, that's wrong.
No, that's right.
I need ideas for where to do this. They're going to move this to October. Okay. Yeah, I talked to him yesterday. Just so you know. And Steve, I don't know if Steve can hear us, but Steve, yeah, they called. So I need ideas for meeting 4. Where do you guys go ahead, Luke?
Just a quick question. Why are we jumping all over the place? What are we?
God, thank you for asking that question. Why are we jumping around? When you're doing a comprehensive plan, this is one of our outreach methods, right? So what we're trying to do is break down that everything happens over at City Hall. How many people do you guys have coming to meetings? Not that many, right? I mean, yeah, unless you're really mad about something. but one of the ways to break that down is get out of the municipal building and into the community, right? So the idea was we wanted to say to somebody like Joe, please host a meeting, get us out of this building and tell us about what's happening with that organization so that we can go to people, right? That was the idea. Sorry, great question.
We could do a meeting at the funeral home.
Who wants to have a meeting at the funeral home?
Sure, why not?
No, seriously, like we could set up tables and.
You know I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, funeral home's one idea. Anybody else?
Central too, middle of the town.
Anybody else? Jared's already hosting. Shireen, I think we're already leaning on the county for a meeting. Where do you think we need to go? Peter? You guys are idea people. Daniel?
Peterson.
Josie?
Fire department.
Fire department. Where do you want to go? Where?
Oh, Chevy Chase. That's really.
Chevy Chase. What, can we use the hall, the civic center?
I feel sure.
We can.
Not in Indiana.
Oh, well,
White
true.
House.
Yeah,
The
you're right.
library,
Good
You're right.
point.
upstairs at the library.
Yeah.
Upstairs library, or we did that meeting.
Wednesday evening, so we're not open Thursday.
Who's not open? What are you talking about?
Library.
Library?
We can get in
Okay,
though.
we'll figure it out. We can figure it out.
Really?
Here's what I picked up on.
I got a brick in the truck, we can get in.
I think it's your building, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right, all right, good. Well, Josie, we'll make sure we get it cleared, okay?
Okay.
I heard library, I heard funeral home, and I heard Chevy Chase Community Center, correct? White Township can't host us because it's in the township. I was trying to pick on Chris. Anything else? Any other ideas? No? Okay. All right, then that'll be one of the ones we do. All right, this is what those meetings look like over time. Downtown Indiana. Joe, I want to give you, what did I tell you? 5 minutes, 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. You got it. The floor is yours, sir.
All right, thank you.
Can everybody see and hear Joe?
Yes.
Joe, if you want to, you can come up here.
No, that's okay. I'll try to speak loudly.
All right.
So Downtown Indiana is a nonprofit corporation. The mission is to encourage people to work, live, and play in and around Indiana's central business district. We've outlined a vision to engage in community and economic development work that does a few things, including supporting a lively, thriving central business district where storefronts are filled with a variety of retail shops, experience-oriented destinations, and diverse restaurants and pubs where commercial office space is owned, rented by firms that provide family-sustaining jobs. It encourages a strong residential community surrounding the business district that attracts residents to invest in the homes and engage with the nearby businesses and organizations, and then creates and enhances diverse recreational and social outlets that take advantage of our community's many assets. Quick background, Downtown Indiana has been around for a long time. It was first organized in 1926. It's gone through a number of different iterations. We just recently, last year, formed a formal partnership with the Indiana County Chamber of Commerce and are learning how to leverage that partnership to do more and better work for the community. As Jeff said, we did a little planning project in 2021 where we hired a few folks who I was introduced to come in and do something similar to this on a smaller scale. And, you know, they provided some input on the feedback that they received from the 25 or so people that they talked to. And I think one of the primary kind of lessons that came out of that was how better collaboration within the community can do more. And so through Downtown Indiana, we're trying to do more and better work with the borough, with the county, the Office of Planning and Development, the Arts Council, United Way, to improve the visibility of those organizations and to engage them more with people who are in and around the central business. The organization itself has 4 committees, promotions, which is designed to help promote businesses through things like events. There's an economic vitality committee. There is a design committee, which is physical infrastructure. The flower baskets that you see planted out front are organized through the design committee. And then the organization committee, which is really focused on improving and maintaining these relationships with other community organizations.
What do you, so you guys have gone through a huge, or going through a huge change with the chamber.
Yeah.
And you alluded to that.
Yeah.
What does that mean for us as outsiders, right? What does that mean?
Sure. So Downtown Indiana is a nonprofit organization that is funded primarily through event revenues and sponsorship revenue. And that creates good opportunities to have some employees helping with that mission. But there are some financial benefits to partnering with the chamber. There's also access to resource benefits that we have by partnering with the chamber, improved communications and working relationships with the county Office of Planning and Development, the local elected officials who can help facilitate bringing money into the community, and having a more consistent voice when going to apply for grant funding. So it's about collaboration. It's about access to resources as a means of improving our organization's ability to have a positive impact in this area.
And Sam is a part of this committee.
Yeah.
And I know he couldn't be here tonight, but that is one of the, so that's the main, so you have 2 employees?
Yep. Sam and Jill
are
the directors at Downtown Indiana and are responsible for helping us implement this mission.
Last question. How many board members do you have?
We have 9 board members.
Okay.
That's another big change. Historically, the DI board had grown to something like 25 board members.
Yeah.
And it was an attempt to be inclusive, but it just became unwieldy. And so we have consolidated to an executive committee plus the chairs of the 4 committees, 4 committees that I mentioned as members of the board.
Questions, please, guys. Anybody? Yes, Bill.
So you talked of pre-establishing the business improvement district.
No, I think that was poorly received when it was implemented, although it did provide some great revenue opportunities. I'm not sure that the property owners who were responsible for paying into the business improvement district fund were fully on board with that. So for now, we're trying to find resources from alternative sources.
Great question. How old the bid was, that was what, it was ended in 12, maybe 2012? No.
2016 was the year, the last vote on it, 2016, 17.
Yeah. Any other questions? Nobody? Questions? Yes, Carolyn.
So Downtown Indiana is developing a physical park again, right?
Yeah.
But that depends on the surrounding community, right?
Yes, and I'll reflect that back to Joe. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, 100%.
So what are your efforts to bring them in to have input?
Ma'am, could you speak up just a little bit?
When I said Chevy Chase, immediately, that's not the borough.
So the comprehensive plan is for Indiana Borough, but Downtown Indiana speaks kind of almost a larger community in the sense that Downtown Indiana services more than just the residents of Indiana Borough. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that would include.
No, ideally, we would have a broader group of organizations that we are collaborating with, so that, I mean, the businesses are located physically here, but those businesses rely on commerce from people who live here, who live in White Township, who live in Pittsburgh. And so I think a well-functioning Downtown Indiana would be fully engaged with organizations who are not physically located here, but whose reach includes the area that we're responsible for.
Good question. And Carolyn, for those of you that couldn't hear, I think, Carolyn, your question was, does DI, if their mission is the surrounding area, do they interact and engage with other entities, right?
Yeah, so the mission is the liveliness and the viability of the central business district.
Okay.
But that depends on having people from not central business district coming here to spend money to, to participate in community events. So it requires the organization, when operating well, requires engagement from organizations all over the place and input.
Sure. All right, Carolyn, is that good? Does that at least help a little bit?
I understand where he's coming from.
Good. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Bill.
Just one of your stated objectives to have a vibrant residential community surrounding the central business district in order to feed central business district. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, so just as a little historical context, DI had helped obtain an Elm Street grant some number of decades ago.
That wasn't that long ago. I was on the steering committee.
Okay. So
it wasn't a couple of decades.
That would be, one of the initiatives that helps to fulfill that part of it.
Is there any chance another Elm Street program, or is that the initiative in Harrisburg?
I don't think so. I think there are residential type grants that, as we are building back up our capacity, that we will start to explore.
Which is a nice tie-in to what we're doing, right? Right. All right, good. Thank you. I appreciate you hosting. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us about it. Updates and accomplishments. Joe, if it's okay, I'm just going to keep moving. Is that all right? All right, thank you, sir. Big news. So remember we talked about what I call the ZOOP, which is the Zoning Ordinance Update Project. All right, the ZOOP was a highly technical thing that it was the update of the zoning ordinance. So you remember we spent a little time. What is the difference between a zoning ordinance and a comprehensive plan? What I recognized in hindsight, when we did the debrief and I met with our team and also at the borough, that is too heavy of a lift. You guys have your hands full with simply doing the comprehensive plan, not because you're not capable, but because you're volunteers. We're meeting once a month and we're talking about a very technical project. So what we decided to do is pull that off your plate and give it to Community Development and Planning Commission. And they'll be hiring a consultant to develop a new zoning ordinance. Okay, is that a good reflection, Nicole? Because I know I worked with you, Trev. All right, what we decide on the thing? We had 19 votes. I want to show you this. Right, so this is our winner. Okay, you saw it on the sign when you came in. This was going to be the only thing that the graphics person was going to do. She really liked this. She said, I'm crazy about it. I think they're going to love it. Turns out it didn't win. It's because I forced her to come up with this one and you guys loved it. So this is the one that got all the support. You see the numbers here. These are weighted averages. This I think is valid in terms of we're going to move forward with it because we don't want to spend too much time talking about logos. We do need a brand, something to carry the load of this project, right? When we see it, we recognize that's comprehensive plan. And I think this gives this makes us feel a little better about it, right? So we said, it was a great group, or hey, it was okay. And so you guys were okay with these choices. 15 comments. We did make some changes. One of the things I think there was a couple people that said, hey, make comprehensive plan a bigger part of this, right? The words comprehensive plan update. You see on the front sign, we did make those edits. So there's a slight change here in terms of some of the lettering underneath here. Okay. All right. We can shift to the PowerPoint and I'll introduce Nick. So what we did, and I don't think this is still in any of your thunder, Nick, we did a downtown inventory. And the downtown inventory, part of our comprehensive plan is to help the downtown. Like if we think of it, we have a central business district, I'm oversimplifying, and all surrounding neighborhoods, right? So we're creating a plan for those two areas. What we needed to understand is what did we have downtown? Joe, you and I talked about this early on. I know you guys and Sam are doing something, and the borough was doing something. I think you guys had some code. And so we said, we're gonna go get our data. We need to organize the way we want to do it. It's not gonna dig way deep, but at a really basic level, we needed to know what was happening downtown.
1 second,
I'll do
everybody.
that for you, buddy.
Just find how to.
I'll bring it up.
I'm trying to get that.
I'll take care of it.
Sure.
Oh, is that my fly fishing picture?
Well, anyway, I'll get started while Jeff's figuring this out. So as Jeff said, one of the biggest attractions to Indiana is the downtown. Probably the biggest attraction next to IUP. That's what people talk about when they leave. That's what people like about Indiana. So we wanted to grab a snapshot of time about what's going on in the downtown area. And so what we did was a downtown inventory, and this was a on the street, by storefront, by floor look at downtown. So there could be 5 storefronts in a building. We looked at each storefront to try to get the most accurate count of type of businesses. And this just kind of shows you the buildings. There's 222 storefronts that we were out on the street a few Saturdays ago looking at. 222.
You got your pointer.
So just to get into the weeds just a little bit, how we came up with the boundary, or how we figured out what we were going to look at, what we weren't going to look at. So we consulted a couple different sources. One of those being mentioned the bid maps, the Business Improvement District maps. They set up their own boundary of downtown. We worked with DI, specifically Sam, to kind of pitch ideas back and forth, and they expressed their wishes, and we kind of ultimately went with that. And we also kind of referred to the Planning Commission, meaning that we looked at the comprehensive plan of years past and how they describe downtown. And this is what we came up with. This isn't a hard boundary. It's just something we use to do this inventory. Now to get to the fun stuff. Some of the results we found. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about is vacancies that we found. So if you look here, we found 18 vacancies, and you can see them displayed across. If it's red, it was vacant at that time, but if it's green, it was not. Okay, and that equals out to 8%, 18 out of 22, 222. Does not sound too bad in my opinion, but let's compare it to other people or other places across the region, other places that have something in common with Indiana. So starting with Johnstown, and again, we're at 8%. Johnstown was a little higher, about 10%, a similar population. If you look at Greensburg, Greensburg's way up there at 17%, so we're still doing good, still doing lower. Altoona, about 8%. And then if we look at, I threw Gettysburg in there because Gettysburg is often the gold standard of both small towns. They're all the way down at 3%. So, and then also looking at another college town, it was hard to find statistics for college towns in this region. But looking at East Stroudsburg, another state school within their borough, they're about 4%. National average is about 12.5%. The one thing you want to hold on to is that we dug through many research, and you can spend a lifetime looking at this stuff, but basically most researchers agree that anywhere from about 5 to 8 is good, or below 10% means you don't have an immediate problem. Now going on to our next thing that we looked at was blighted properties. What is blight? Well, a way that we kind of found a definition for or described it is it's a building or a property that is no longer functioning the way it should, or it could not be used without significant intervention from an outside source. So we didn't have an overly complex definition. If we went up to it and we saw this property or building or storefront needs serious work to become operational, that would be blighted. And so that's only 6 of them that we found.
At least 2 of those are.
Interestingly enough, how quickly this stuff moves. This one here next to the American Legion, I went by and it's already being repainted and redone. So we'll have to take that off the list.
There was one across the street, at least they had a dumpster in front of it, or stuff out of it.
Yep.
It used to be like a trade place or something, I can't remember.
There's a jackhammer going at Buggies right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's
They're
when,
ripping the ground, the driveway out
I
of
don't know.
Buggies.
and that was bought by somebody who specifically wants it to look better, like he bought it for that reason.
Well,
That's
one
a
hand that
gold mine.
justifies a rating, and the other hand, we'll have to take that off. But this stuff moves
Yeah,
fast.
geez, come on, update your list, guy.
And we'll continue to update this, obviously, as things are made. Like I said, I saw that today, and I was like, oh, I'll have to take that off the list.
You're down to 3, buddy.
Yes. But just to show only 6 200.
How'd you decide to cut off? Just for curiosity.
So
I don't think it'll move that particular needle terribly, but
Sure.
I'm just curious.
yeah, as I said, this is to get our feet wet because what we ran into is we're like, okay, we got to include this, and eventually weeks go on, and it gets to a point where you just want to do it. So we leaned on our sources, the bid maps, the comprehensive plans of year past, and specifically Sam Kenley in downtown Indiana to say, is this a boundary you're comfortable with for this inventory? And they said yes, and we roll with it. And certainly there are things we can add in the future. Some of the things that we were talking about was Delaney.
Yeah, the car dealership's not on there.
And there was the commonplace wasn't included.
Like there's that whole area. Commonplace is.
Yes. So this is simply an initial go that we can build off of. This is the initial go, we completed it, and we just want to give you a snapshot, the same snapshot that we had. The last thing, and this is kind of a fun one, this is just each color is a different classification of business. So one of the things we gathered out there is what kind of business is in that storefront. And for the purpose of this PowerPoint, we wanted to collapse in easy to see categories. So you can see here in the blue is retail, pink or purple is professional offices, restaurant, and bar. At a later date, we probably separate those two. Is green, and then all of the services, that's kind of a catch-all for tattoo services, health services, art services. And then we also have other category for the ones that are vacant, or if it's a government building or something else. But I think what's interesting here, just from the breakdown, if you look at the counts of how many and the percentages of that professional offices we see in this survey was the one that we found most common. And to me, just from a research side, that's really a good thing because in COVID, that's one of the things that got hit the hardest was professional offices because of remote work and things of that nature. Yes, sir.
How does this compare to those two?
We have not looked at that, but I'll tell you what we have looked at is looking at office vacancy rates, and those are usually the highest for similar communities where we have a solid base of professional offices. All right, and those are the results that we want to show you. Just a quick snapshot into downtown and what we found. Is there any quick questions?
Do we have access to these maps when you,
Yes, we're certainly not holding this. From my perspective, I just want to do a couple more verifying processes just to check a few things, and then we'll release it in some way, whether it be a shape file or a table.
the vacancy rates in other communities that you had listed?
Sure.
Use the same methodology?
Greensburg did. We had a kind of a method to kind of make it a 1-to-1 by looking at, because for some communities, they break it apart into different vacancy rates. So we kind of had a way of statistically averaging it. Any other questions?
Joe, what I just wanted to, it's nice that you're here. You guys are thinking about this, right? So what's the big takeaways for you in terms of getting this snapshot? What are you guys thinking about? Yeah.
I mean, the vacancies obviously, but I think it's not just vacancies, it's ideal use. So if we have a bunch of services, which are businesses that the community doesn't view as ideal for that space, finding ways to improve the use of the retail space, even if they're not vacant. That's certainly something that we're trying to do. Fine. Yeah, good.
I was just gonna say, like, a weird thought I had looking at that is, like, when I'm walking down the downtown corridor, looking at this map, it looks like we're densely populated with businesses. When I'm walking down the corridor, it doesn't necessarily feel like that because those aren't necessarily businesses I can physically engage with. Like, unless I have like a specific need for that specific office service, it's not just like a boutique I can walk into or a restaurant I can check out. So it doesn't necessarily contribute to the day-to-day experience. And that doesn't necessarily draw like tourism or like activity in the downtown. I'm not saying that isn't, that doesn't mean the offices in the downtown are necessarily bad, but like if there's a beautiful storefront, I feel like it would be more ideal for it to be something more interactive than.
There's a trade-off there though, because a lot of the retail restaurant businesses rely on the fact that there are people who are working downtown. So there's probably some ideal balance to that. To
that point, real quick, to make a quick observation, for me, having not seen the day before, I think was most interesting is when I think about downtown, I think about the restaurants. And maybe I'm just a foodie or somebody that eats too much, but I think of the restaurants immediately. When you see this, you see a lot of retail and a lot of professional service. I thought that was an interesting take today.
I see a lot of attorneys because of the courthouse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Oh, the banks.
tons of, well, yeah, banks, but
How many
all the
people
attorneys.
work in downtown? You know, and other than food, but retail, industries.
I'm sure there's a way that I have some data that looks at workers by class. So I'm sure there's a way that we could kind of bring that in.
I had a question, Joe, correct?
Yes.
So, you very nicely put it, but you kind of said we want to get rid of people we don't like. I mean, that's essentially what you just said.
Oh, it was
And-
more like ideal uses for spaces.
Yeah, but who's ideal?
So like,
The communities.
Well, who's,
yeah,
right, but the
Yeah.
person in the storefront is part of the community.
Yeah.
And if they put their business there, it sounded like it's probably pretty ideal for them. That's all I'm saying. So, I mean, again, you phrased it very nicely, but that's basically what you said. Get rid of the people we don't want, bring in people we do, right? I mean, that's a really kind of cold way to say that.
Yeah.
And so the kind of pragmatic question is, how do you do that?
I would like to contribute that, you know, I think that the vision maybe we have for it is, would you have a psychiatric office like right in a storefront window, or would you have that maybe in back part of the building or on the second floor?
And I don't mean to be,
Yeah.
I am a business owner, and at the end of the day, it's wherever that person wants to pay money to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And if they want it at the storefront and they want a big sign that says, if you're crazy, come here,
Yeah,
that's their business model. They're allowed to do it,
yeah.
right?
The owner
Now-
of the building has the right to have whatever.
Certainly,
use their property
yes.
however they want.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of different people contribute to what that result and that end result is, and there's different ways of
Absolutely.
approaching it.
Absolutely.
Hopefully ethical,
But
but
what I'm getting at is how does downtown Indiana influence whether or not we get another tattoo shop?
I don't
No,
think,
because it's usually a joke. Oh, usually it's the same one that moves around, but, people go get tattoos.
I think it's less about like deciding what is the right business and more about giving the property owners access to resources that they may not otherwise have to invest in their buildings.
Sure.
That might change the makeup of the retail, for instance,
or attract more potential renters.
or attract more.
And that's what I heard. And I know it's a nuance, and I guess because I've been doing planning, but what I heard was we're not picking winners and losers.
Yeah,
You're allowing the market to thrive, but you're also recognizing that the character and the development of a place sometimes means helping. Right? So for downtown Indiana to make things available, to make funds available, to fix up buildings, and then let the market drive, occupancy. Yes.
A few years back, I remember, probably about a decade, I seem to lose track of time. Johnstown had a program for the businesses where I think it was like $20,000 for to help improve the storefronts.
I saw it.
We had that at one point here.
And that become the magical fund of money that no one wanted to find.
From 1991.
Yes. It's another example.
Yes.
Oh, that was pretty much it. I mean, is that something we could do?
Yeah.
For sure.
that is generally part of the Keystone Communities Program grant funding that is available. And that would be like working with Molly and folks in her office to make an application for facade grant money that we could then make available to the community, to the business and the property owners of the community.
It's like, I think I see it a lot of times, like, people own a building for a long time and the maintenance of it just gets away from them.
Yep.
I try to see that on a daily basis. So, a little bit of help, clean up the front end. And if it's some type of retail space, you fix the front, then whatever retailer moves in, they can do whatever they want with the interior.
Excellent thoughts. All right, good. Thank you, Joe. All right, I'm going to pull us back only because I need to get to a little bit of that work that we talked about. I'm looking for a place to make up some time here. Outreach, this has to do with this. So what we're scheduling right now is policymaker interviews. So we'll be building those for a list. I'll be sitting with our team and interviewing planning commission members, council. You may have been contacted to do these interviews. We'll do other interviews. So if you get caught in this batch, you'll probably be contacted in the future. But that's got a kind of an FYI.
Yeah, those dates were wrong. It's the 11th to the 12th.
Oh,
Just to
thank you.
point that out. to
Thank
everybody
you.
who knows.
I had
Yeah.
all day. All right, this is Trey. Just keep it.
Yeah, I'll be brief. It's
Good.
quick. So a lot of what he's going to talk about in a little bit, kind of the engagement and stuff like that. We've been doing a lot of that already, getting out, talking to residents, talking to people here about what they like about Indiana. And one of the things we did was an Indiana Borough customer service survey, which is just a quick five question survey that's been here for the last month. People come in, sit down, have their coffee, fill it out for us quickly. We also had whiteboarding at 2 events, at the Pride event or Pride Festival and at the Juneteenth event over at Mac Park. So that was another way to collect feedback. And then a downtown display where we have posters up. People have been going around, signing our posters, giving us ideas on there. So through that, we've gotten 83 total comments. And what we found through that is while transportation, diversity, equity, inclusion, recreation, aesthetics are 4 areas that really stick out. And sorry, I should have said this at first. These are the themes that I found throughout the 83 comments. And so, like I said, transportation, aesthetics, recreation, and DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, those really stuck out. But something that really stood out was values. And so kind of what that means, to kind of explain that further, is like I think somebody else had said earlier about creating place. We're talking about growth and development in Indiana. Everybody knows it's built out. We're not looking to add new things like that, but we're looking to create place. So have a place that has an identity, kind of can bring more value to the borough. And I think the one whiteboard response here, that's kind of a good example of that. So
Safety, tolerance for everyone who grew up here and wants to live here.
yeah, so
Again,
while
that was one way, that is a neat condensed way to get a little bit of a sense of what people want from where they live, right?
yeah, so while like we said, like avoiding blight, that's a problem. Avoiding better roads, things like that. People are mentioning that stuff. Like I said, I think that is where we're kind of going towards. What residents are telling us feedback is they want us to focus on creating a place.
You're gonna keep doing that, correct?
Yeah, it's going to keep going. That'll go throughout the whole
The
process
Hawk
of the
Walk was
comp
also
plan.
an example of that.
Yeah.
What
Well-
was the transportation, like what's, like getting around or?
Not
roads? Was that-
necessarily. It wasn't the road, just more getting
Yeah.
around. Yeah, like I think one of them, a good example was I like to walk and bike wherever I go.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily all that negative feedback or positive feedback. It's kind of a mix of both. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. And yeah, we will continue to do this throughout the rest of the process.
If you have an idea for a bit that we can piggyback, meaning bring a table and ask people some questions, please let Trey or myself or Nick know, or Thea. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be at the Italian Festival. The
Italian
Fall
Festival.
Festival,
I
that's
mean, there
another
was
one we're
just a
going to
very
go
large
to.
event that
We
apparently
missed
wasn't.
that. Missed that. I saw one of the things.
Which
Well,
one?
we
It had to
What
be
was the
approved to go on. How did it get missed?
What?
Oh, actually, I didn't know about that either.
Five,
until-
900 people were there?
It
I
just
know.
came at
My
the
neighbor-
last, they got it approved like a couple
and we're
weeks,
gonna
3
miss it.
weeks.
Like we're gonna. I mean, it's impossible for us. To
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. I mean, you're not wrong there. What I was going to bring up is making sure, for example, there are a large number of churches in this community.
cross section. That's
Making sure there's a good cross section of things.
yes, very aware, but keep us tuned in, right? Specifically. All right, Vishnu. So let's do some work here. All right, Thea, I need your help. We're gonna be doing. I want you guys to. I'm gonna ask you some questions. All right, the way to do this, the way I'd like to do this, is I'd like for you to imagine you've been away from Indiana for about 10 years. Okay, our horizon on this thing is about 7 years. The reason we didn't take a 20-year horizon is because it's almost impossible to think 20 years in advance. I mean, it can be possible, and I'm sure there's a lot of bright people out there who can do it. But for us, it becomes a little more practical to think 7 to 10 years in the future. Okay. So I want you to imagine you've been away for 7 years. All right. When you come back, this town is a perfect reflection of your ideas of a great place. All right. It's the
Four wheels
best
everywhere.
town ever. All right. Now, I want you to tell me about this place. All right. So be a little bit vulnerable. Stick your neck out. Don't say something that's different, please. And then we'll just do a round robin. Do me a favor, yeah, because keep track of each one of these. What are people talking about?
How practical do you want us to be?
I want you to, no, I don't want you to be practical. I want you to, good question. I want you to literally think about aliens just zapping you up and then boom, zapped right back down. 7 years. All of a sudden, on the way to being zapped back down, somebody waved a magic wand, and that town's the perfect town that you think is perfect.
We're
Okay?
definitely gonna add some four-wheel drive.
We're going to add four-wheeler trail. But you know what I'm saying, right? It's
Well, I asked you how practical.
No,
you wanted
it's
it
good.
to be.
It's good. We can do that. All right. What are people talking about? What are people talking about in this place? Joe, you want to go first?
Yes, please.
Get out of here. All right, good. What are people talking about?
The
Thank you.
badass music concert that they've been talking to.
Ooh. Badass music concert or great music.
Look, I think you should quote
yes,
them.
Rock music.
Hang on.
Rock and roll.
Wait on. Hang on. You're taking question one, Via. So what are people talking about? Great music. Does that work?
Yeah.
Great music. And I should have reworded what you said, but does that work?
That's
Trying to keep it simple.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
All right. Good. Luke.
Everybody knows their neighbor.
Good. Just make sure we mark that as question one.
So maybe walkable,
Question
friendly. I don't know how you want to phrase that.
I like
but
it. I like it. Question one. All right. Good.
They're talking about different community volunteer opportunities coming up.
All right. So people are talking about volunteering.
Yeah, they're talking about volunteering, local volunteering opportunities.
Okay. Good. All right. Talking about volunteer opportunities. Nicholas, I'm not calling on you. Bill, what are people talking about in your ideal town 7 years from now?
7 years from now, that IUP has become more of a cultural hub of the community.
Yes. Okay. What do you mean by cultural hub?
Well, at one time, IUP had the Life of the Arts program. They had a vibrant music theater program.
Okay.
And there was much to do at IUP. IUP
Yes.
would bring symphony. They would bring in Broadway plays. They would bring in speakers.
Yes.
A lot of that seems to have disappeared in the last 3 or 4 years, especially
Okay.
since COVID.
Okay. So IUP, is there a better relationship with IUP, or is IUP making arts more accessible?
Yeah, it's more of a cultural hub. Yes.
Cultural hub. Use those words. That's his idea. Cultural hub. You got it? Okay. And it's more volunteers, I think, or more volunteer opportunities. Who's next? Yes. Joe.
Great. That's a beautiful green area. It's a green space.
Where is it?
We gotta design it.
Well, it's just some.
It's across from the Borough Building in an empty parking lot that no one uses.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Throwing that out there.
Guys, she's having a great idea here. You guys hear this?
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep going, Joe.
A green space that connects IUP with the downtown India. Yes. It brings people so they can interact, and
Yes.
I want to bring the kids and give them a safe path to the downtown area.
Safe
Lighting,
path. Are you guys catching this?
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for dreaming a little bit. Yes.
Hey, why not?
Kind of on that note, to have enough space to do a big park, maybe we could possibly do small pocket parks throughout because we don't have like the land.
Okay.
Maybe doing small pocket parks throughout the borough.
That are maybe connected.
It connected some like imaginary trail that you can walk through the borough to these different green spaces.
Okay.
To just make it just I don't know, more interactive.
Okay.
You know.
And more recreation. So you see
Yeah.
people hanging out in one of these little pocket parks. You see
Yeah,
them
like the
hanging out.
skateboarders do in our park.
Okay. That's good. Pocket parks connected via trails. Guys, watch what he's writing up there and make sure he's capturing it. Yes,
IRMC
Jen.
Park is finally the dedicated park space in the center of town that it ought to be.
IRNC Park.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. That's huge. All right, 7 years, Chris, 7 years, Chris. You come back to Indiana. What are people talking about?
The new restaurant, microbrew.
New restaurant, is it right
Amen.
downtown?
Yep.
It's right in downtown. It's a microbrew. You can get a sandwich and draft beer. Right? You
I mean,
drink big.
that's usually what-
That's it.
That's it?
And they can, you can stay at.
Wait, maybe he's leaving it out. He owns it. And it's very successful.
All these new Airbnbs that are going up, because everybody's taking these student rentals and changing them into Airbnbs.
Okay, so student
That's what
housing
the
is being
big thing.
reclaimed.
Yeah.
Yes, that works. Student housing being reclaimed to Airbnbs and what was the other one?
No, that's it. Like,
You
when
want
it's-
them to be Airbnbs?
No, I said that's, I mean, we're
That's what's
seeing
happening.
that's what's happening now. It's like, and that's all, I think it's gonna grow. I think
Wait,
it's gonna get
but
bigger.
is that what you envision as your perfect town?
Yes.
Well,
Because that's what the topic is.
well, yeah, because I think that
So
they're
you-
gonna be used.
Okay.
Like right now, we're having problems with, there's no students to fill all these empty houses and empty student rentals.
I
So
know
now
what you're
they're-
doing, but don't push her to try to dream, okay? I'm just happy she's having ideas right now,
Yeah.
okay? But I guess what Molly, your clarification was,
Yeah.
need you to dream a little bit. Like, it's wave of magic wand. It is your town.
Maybe your dream is low vacancy rate in
happening
housing.
now.
Right.
So I wasn't sure
She
if
is.
she was
She is.
No empty houses.
No
It's
empty
okay.
housing.
No empty houses. Throw it up there. She can have two.
We'll
Shereen,
interpret it.
I see you thinking
Yeah.
back there. You go away, you come back.
It's a good one.
What are people talking about?
It drives everything else. If there's
Wow, okay, so perfect sidewalks. Okay, people are
You
talking
stole-
about how
that was
great.
what I was gonna say. You said don't be practical.
Oh my God, she nailed it.
Yes, that was my next.
What is it?
Yes.
You really did steal my
Not
business. He said to
needs
dream, not to be
and-
practical.
All right, wait a minute, guys. Remember our ground rule, one conversation, only because it's so hard for me to hear. All right, Chris had another one. He said, great landscaping around sidewalks. Is that fair? Okay, great
Yeah, the
landscaping
sidewalks.
around sidewalks, right, Chris? Okay, Nick?
On that note, I would just think a revitalized streams. This is kind of an impossible goal, but I always liked sitting by a stream when I was young, living out in the country, and I feel like we don't even think about the streams, waterways that go through our
You guys
borough.
gonna buy that? Cause we're dreaming so much, even our team here is dreaming with you. I love it. This is awesome.
More
What
like,
am I-
maybe more development of the streams that are already here, like the.
Yeah.
That are around town.
Right, wait,
Revitalize.
It's better street.
Has
I know.
anybody ever been to Golden, Colorado?
Hang on, hang
Somebody
on,
else, she
hang on,
got practical, so I'm gonna get practical.
hang on. Okay, good. Go.
We've solved the sewer flooding problem.
Solve the sewer flooding problem. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
My house just flooded.
No more flooding, yeah. I live by Marsh Run.
There's two-
Okay, you were talking. Go ahead.
Golden, Colorado literally has a stream going through kind of their downtown. And literally, there's kids that run up and down, and then there's like natural water slides in it and all this stuff. It's amazing. You know, and there's restaurants that overlook the stream and all this stuff. It's very interactive. I don't know if we have enough water for that. We might, well, I don't know.
Don't be-
Enough water,
don't be
basically, to
practical.
pump it out.
What are people talking about? I'm gonna take two more responses. Yes.
Younger people fighting to be here.
I love it. Younger people fighting to be here. That's good. One more, Daniel.
All right, this kind of goes along with like making IUP more of a hub and IRMC park, but a really great physical transition from campus to the downtown.
It's awesome. So you showed up and there was this incredible, probably borrowed from Jill's idea. All right, next, when you travel around town, what are you seeing? What are you seeing in downtown?
People.
People.
See people in downtown, anything different? What are you seeing? Okay, good. What are you seeing? What do you notice? This is question 2, guys. This is question 2.
Maintenance,
Yes, that's.
lots of people, and it doesn't look around.
What do you see when you drive around downtown? Carolyn?
A lot of people walk the dog.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, because it seems friendly, right?
Yeah.
It seems friendly. I like that. A lot of people walking dogs. A lot of people walking dogs. Got it. Question 2. All right, yes. Sorry, Jenny, you've been waiting so patiently.
It's
Thank you.
okay.
Yes.
No weeds coming out of the tree beds. The trees are maintained
Okay.
well. And no garbage on the sidewalks.
And nobody's talking about development downtown. I love that. That's true. You're talking about aesthetics, what it looks like, because it contributes to play.
Well, you're not
I
gonna
get it.
have people and maintenance if there's no businesses.
So, okay, so you're saying it's a logical thing that it gets there. I like it. Did you get grass? Yeah. Well, okay, good. Yes, I need to get out of, go ahead. You go ahead.
Businesses that are open past 5 o'clock.
I love it. Business is open past top. Jared, what do you think?
A variety of housing opportunities.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Senior housing,
Yes.
family housing.
We do need
So more available housing for everybody. Is that a good way to say it? Okay.
Yeah. So
Molly,
kind of your 2 points, diversity, but like specifically age diversity as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because there's lots of houses.
So-
Some people can't utilize it.
Like, specifically like young professional housing, which
Yes.
is kind of also your point. Like it's so hard to find housing once you are no longer a student and you no longer have 5 people to go in our house with.
now, hang on, Jared. The question was, what do you notice when you travel downtown? You said a variety of housing, right? Is that right? Downtown. I like that. Okay, good. Are you saying downtown?
I'm saying diversity of people, but
Diversity of people
but
downtown.
I want to include like specifically say age diversity as well. I'm not sure age diversity is that, but diversity in general. of
Good.
People.
Thank you. All right, who's somebody I hadn't called on? Joe's gone. Nicole, good. Peter, Bill, anything to add here? What do you notice? 7 years, your ideal town. You just arrived here, UFO, boom, there you are. Wave the magic wand. It's the town you dreamed of. What's happening downtown? Full of people. Okay, good. And we captured that, right? We catch that. Okay, good. All right, next, what's happening in your neighborhood? All right, we all live in a neighborhood. What's happening in your neighborhood? I shifted geographies on you. Okay, I said, what happened? Because I think I'm hoping we can get to something that's happening. We all live in a place, right? We all experience a place, mostly about where we live. We don't spend our entire lives downtown, right? We spend them in our neighborhoods for the most part. And I'm asking you, what do you notice in your ideal town, in your neighborhood? Okay?
People.
I'll buy that. Okay, people.
People walking around.
Okay.
Where's
People
the
walking their dogs.
Dogs again.
Walking, lots of walking along the road.
I like it. Okay. So walk along roads. This is, yeah.
On
It's
the
like the
night
thing-
sidewalks.
I was gonna say, There's no floods, right?
It's the same.
That's
Okay, is
the
there anything
trees that
different?
are clipped.
Is there
Trees are
anything
maintained.
different? Trees are
Lawns are mowed.
Things are landscape. Chris, go. Traffic calming. So cars aren't going too fast in your neighborhood. That's the magic thing I like it.
Like community identifiers, whether it be like specific landscapes or signage, like I don't know, like that community with that weird statue, like
Yes.
that kind of stuff, things that like help you identify specific communities.
Ooh,
You
that's
know?
huge. Okay, I like that.
Whether it be signs or structures.
Okay, so something that's identifiable.
Yes.
You get that? Identifiable things in neighborhoods. Anything else?
No abandoned homes.
No abandoned homes. No limited vacancy in neighborhoods.
You mean
Anything
no blighted
else?
homes?
Yeah, no blight,
Well-maintained residential properties. We gotta keep our look at business. I know, this is so interesting. It's the first time it's happened.
Seriously?
Yeah. Describe the feel or vibe. Let me tell you the reason I'm asking this question. For those of you that are just practical folks, this is gonna drive you nuts. And if we don't get responses here, we can skip it. The reason I'm doing this is because when I listen to teenagers and 20-year-olds, what they're talking about is how a place feels and whether or not it has vibe. Okay? Now, if we're gonna tune into this, and you guys want young people here, which is what I hear, what's the vibe? Okay?
Welcoming.
You just went away, you came back, it's the perfect vibe. It's perfect. Describe the vibe. What's happening there? Go, Jenny.
Welcoming.
Welcoming. We're gonna treat this as a lightning round.
Vibrant.
Welcoming. Go.
I want,
Culturally diverse.
I want the arts.
People from different places?
Yes, I want arts. I want.
Arts.
I was on an aviary. I mean, there's a lot of
Yes, you
things
too. I
that
love it.
like.
Yes. All right, good. Good. What else? Anything else? Jared, I'm gonna pick on you again. What's the vibe here? It's your perfect town.
I think it needs to be relaxing.
Relaxing.
Oh, see.
I like that.
I say active.
Active. No, you can have the two. It can be relaxing, but be active. Anything else? Daniel.
I love the cozy downtown feel, but still modern. It's still
Cozy
connected.
but modern.
Yeah,
Cozy
still
but
Like
modern.
small town with a twist.
small town, but not just some old place that's stuck in the past.
Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Anything else?
That's on another level.
Anything else on vibe? Yes, sir.
Positive conversations going on around you.
Positive conversations. I love that. I love it.
Around here,
All right, good.
These spirited conversations. I like spirited.
All right, let's grab
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
help me out. Look, I don't know what else. Good stuff, guys. Lightning, you guys moving good. I got it from there, Nick. I hit the wrong button up there. Should be. Okay, here's the next question. I want you to think about your ideal Indiana. We're going to treat this like a lightning round because how are we on time? Somebody help me out.
7:18.
7:18. All right. To move in this direction, what does Indiana 2030 need to recommend? So what do we need to focus on? All right. I keep kind of hinting around. Now we're doing it. All right. What does this plan need to focus on to get to what you guys were imagining? Okay. And we were trying to quantify. All right.
Collaboration.
It needs, okay, good. We know that's a tool for how to get there. What I'm saying, let me give you an example. For me, it's the decline of the university. Guys, remember we talked briefly about this in the last meeting. To me, this plan needs to talk about the enrollment decline at the university because it's having ripple effects. If you think it's not affecting you, at some point it may, and it probably will. I know that my neighbors they went out of business and they had student rentals. It's huge, but that's mine. It may not be yours. So, but if I were telling a planning person, I would say, please do a plan and talk about the university and where it is, what it's doing. Go, Joe.
Opportunities to diversify the economic base.
This is what happens when you invite somebody really smart to one of these meetings. I like it. When you say that, break it down for me though a little bit.
So historically, we've been like a blue collar place, right? So a lot of industry has employed the people that live here.
Coal mining, steel,
Manufacturing.
FMC, right.
Yeah, so finding good ways to employ people that maybe have been displaced by previously working in industrial jobs.
Okay.
Or finding people maybe who don't currently work here, but like the community to come and bring their businesses here because they like the community.
You getting this?
So,
all right.
And acknowledging the fact that we are, relying on two very big financial institutions to employ a lot of people and that there's
Banking, education, right? No, well, I'm saying those are our big employers right now. Right. And healthcare.
With that said,
Yes.
definitely, the internet.
So focus on a plan that focuses on the internet?
Yeah, because if you want these businesses and these people, remote workers and stuff like that, you definitely need as much broadband as you could possibly get.
We need a plan that talks about broadband, right? Or
Yeah.
focus on that. Okay, good.
They're not a
Did you get
monopoly
that?
on broadband.
Focus
We're
on
not talking
broadband.
about the county.
Yeah, but
What does it need?
We're not talking.
What does 20 need,
Okay,
30
we're
need
not
to
trying to
focus
solve
on? Go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, no, I was.
You're agreeing. Go look.
I think 2030 would look back and tell us to hurry the hell up.
Hurry the hell
Make
up.
a decision, implement the decision.
Yeah.
Don't
like
take
that.
3 years to pick something to
guys.
do.
Okay, all right, good. But what's the plan need to focus on?
That's what it needs to focus on. Hurry up.
I don't know what to do with that, Luke. Hurry
Speed
up,
of-
write it up.
speed of
We're gonna have to tease that one out a little bit. Go ahead.
Set it
That's
there.
okay. I'll
There you
come
go.
back to you. Somebody else. Jared, what are you thinking? What does this plan need to focus on? We talked about IUP. We talked about diversifying the workforce or base or
Keeping
economic,
those, keeping the
keeping what?
23 to 30-year-olds here. that work
Retaining young
remote.
people.
Yeah.
Retaining young people. Did you get that? Retaining young people. Jill.
First thing to include like the broadband, even like solar.
Okay.
Including that, our parking meters maybe. You
Okay.
make them into charging stations for electric cars so that people are more inclined to come and go to a restaurant and plug in while they're,
Okay.
and that's how you pay for your parking. You're paying.
What do we say? It's not an environmental focus, but it's different forms of energy. No, different forms of
Utilities.
utilities. So modernizing utilities, I'm trying to put that in some kind of
Yeah.
green infrastructure. Can I use that? Green infrastructure.
Can we,
Okay, green
can we write,
infrastructure.
Can we change that slightly to common sense, forward thinking, green infrastructure?
Common sense for.
Because there's a lot of downsides to a lot of solar panels, for example. Wind energy sucks, basically.
Yeah.
Right, okay, okay,
It
all right,
does.
that's good, that's
It's
good.
expensive and it breaks.
And we
Hang on,
disagree, but that's
hang on.
okay.
Sorry,
It's
so
all right.
on the energy thing, I've lost power more in Indiana Borough than I ever did in Blackwood Township. And yes, like, and I'm a fish keeper, so like
Okay.
I've had to like hand aerate my fish tanks before.
Oh, yeah.
So to keep it short, like
All right.
keeping our utilities updated, making sure that we're not losing power, regardless of the source of energy. And I'm saying this is
She's supporting the idea of focusing on infrastructure. Are there any
Yes.
other focus areas? Jenny?
I think if we said that housing, if we want housing to be kept up and nice properties and so forth, I think we need to look at finding avenues to fund that for people who are either seniors or in a low economic class to be
Okay.
able to upkeep and improve and make livable their homes.
Retrofitting houses for aging community.
Yeah.
aging.
Funding for, yeah.
Yes.
We all talked about wanting to see people around. I would say focus on the pedestrian experience.
Whoa,
Hmm,
I love it. Okay, that's understandable. Pedestrian experience, Thea, I want you to capture that. You're good on working on the other one. Anything else? Focus areas for this plan? Yes,
Greenery, the landscape,
landscaping,
Pedestrian experience.
greenery. Okay,
plus,
you catching this? Greenery?
So I
Yes,
think what she's saying is regularly executed.
I got
maintenance
it.
program.
I got it. I hear what you say, Carolyn. Yes. Bill,
Extension.
one more.
Extension to try to retain the young people.
Yes,
That can be done, of course, with that economic development.
okay,
There won't be a job split, obviously.
right.
But we can try to attract the more wealthy elderly by building, let's say, luxury condominiums.
Okay.
or Upscale, I wouldn't say luxury, but upscale,
Yes,
housing for
you're
seniors.
righty, righty. Upscale, yeah, upscale housing for seniors. Bill, is that it? Upscale, okay. Last one, go.
A more diverse group of decision makers instead of the good old boys club.
Okay, all right. Diverse, so opportunities for, that's a wonderful, wonderful input, thank you. What you're saying is, yeah, what you're saying is access to leadership and government. Access, right? Okay, good. Guys, that was incredible, thank you. It's incredibly difficult to do with a group. Thank you for taking some chances there. We're not gonna do community mapping. What I would like to do is if anybody wants to stay here for a minute and mark your neighborhood on a map, those maps we're gonna roll those maps out. Nick, will you help me out? Roll those maps out that are sitting in the middle of that thing. It's a map of the borough. Guys, if you think your neighborhood has a name, I used to live on Clymer Avenue. I now call it Clymer Bricks. And I don't know where I'm gonna draw the boundaries, okay? I know there's not really,
Can I ask you a
but
question?
try to do that.
Why do you know more about that?
I used to be called like Eisenhower School area, but now
They don't have, they don't have.
What I'm just saying, Indiana Borough, what the hell were you doing? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Indiana Borough as a community?
If no, guys, by the way, Luke makes a great point. He said, Jeff, why do you want every neighborhood to have a name? It doesn't have to have a name, okay? It doesn't have to. But if there are names out there, I am trying to capture them, okay? Sometimes it's identity, it's understanding.
It's not that kind of stuff.
It's not. So if we
That's all
say,
I'm saying, right?
guys, guys, please give yourself a hand. Thank you for being here. Can you do that, please? It means a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Get some of the meat trays. Next meeting, hang on, sorry. Sorry, the next meeting is LGI senior or junior high. Thank you. Yeah, and good. We got done early. I know. I did. Yes.
How do you want to see marks?
So
You could
that
big circle.
doesn't make
Hang on,
sense.
you hit that. Get to a mark.
Hold on.
Well, you just want to try to name your name. Like, what do people around